I've never had one.
Mate, you're not an Aussie if you haven't had a bloody Jimmy.
G'day, it's me again, and today I wanted to talk about the Aussie TV show Mr. In Between. Don't click off, it's actually good. I think I'm with the majority of people where I don't really watch a lot of Aussie media because I think a big reason for that is I grew up Aussie, obviously. I grew up with shows like Neighbours, which is like Days of Our Lives for old Aussies. But recently there has been a lot of surprisingly good Aussie media coming out. TV shows and movies. Talk to Me come out, that was really good. Have you seen that? You should. You can argue I'm a bit behind the times, seeing as how this show ended in 2021, but hey, better late than never, eh? So the pilot episode originally launched in 2018 with episode 1, the PP guy. And I have to say, from the get-go, the show has a really great personality. There's a lot of comedic moments, and it's never kind of overshadowing a emotional moment. It can be really funny when it needs to be, and then there's straight-up moments that made me cry like a bitch. From the first episode, you get a pretty decent idea of who the characters are and kind of their personalities. But sometimes it does suffer from the runtime only being about 25 minutes. Sometimes that is greatly appreciated. Sometimes you don't need a 40-minute to an hour-long episode. So the show follows a hitman named Ray and his band of wacky friends. And they're always getting themselves into some sort of trouble, and he's constantly having to bail them out. There's a lot about this show that I want to talk about in this video, and I'm going to try not to spoil as much as possible because I do think you should just go into the show pretty blind. Just watch it. It's really good. But I think I'll give a light spoiler warning here. If you do want to go into it blind, just watch it. It's great. But if you don't mind a couple of things about why I like the show, keep watching. So the first season only consists of 6 episodes in total, each one about 25 minutes. It's a very bingeable show. I'll break down the characters real quick. So there's Ray, the hitman slash just criminal for hire. His daughter Brittany, and his good mate Gaz, or Gary. There's his brother Bruce, who has motor neuron disease, and his mate Freddie, who's basically his criminal employer. And that's basically the main cast for the majority of the show. The first season basically gets you up to speed with the characters. It does a great job of kind of slowly introducing you to this world. Well, slowly, but also pretty quickly. Every episode's pretty short. You can, again, very bingeable. You get a read on Ray pretty much straight away as being more than just a non-feeling psychopath murderer. It seems like he genuinely has a good heart, but he's just so used to killing that he just doesn't see any other way. He really doesn't think that he could change if he wanted to. And it's portrayed really well throughout the show, I have to say. Every now and then there's a moment that just doesn't sit right with Ray. There's not like an inner monologue in his ear, like yapping away at you. You just see him, he's just standing there, he just stands there and thinks for a minute. And sometimes there isn't always a right thing to do. For instance, there's one episode where Ray starts working for a new criminal lord guy, whatever. And his first job is to pick up the body of this woman who overdosed and get rid of her. And the guy says, just feed her to the pigs. And so he's standing there looking at this woman's body in the boot of his car, and you just see him look. There's no Mr. Robot yapping in your ear. There's no dialogue. There's no, talking. It's just at the end of the episode, he just picks her up and goes and buries her somewhere. He doesn't feed her to the pigs. So he has some amount of empathy inside him. And it's what I was talking about earlier, about how there's sometimes no right thing to do, because although he still made what you would call a bad decision, at least he didn't feed her to the fucking pigs. There's a lot of show and don't tell in this show, which is great. That's what you want from a good show. There's a couple of episodes that I want to reference without spoiling too much. There's this one episode where Ray goes after a child murderer because the parents of a girl who was killed ask him to. And Ray, being a father himself, does it without even question, no thought. So he finds the guy and the girl's dead body. It's in this like old tunnel, and there's a scene where the father just walks away with his daughter's bones, and Ray walks back into the tunnel, and it just cuts to credits, because like you already know what's gonna happen. He's not walking back in there to give him a fucking high five. He's gonna put a bullet in his head. You don't always need to see it, you know? So the next episode I want to have a quick chat about is the one where one of Ray's daughter's friends goes missing, and he has to enlist all of his criminal mates to find this girl. And I have to say, it's one of the most tense episodes of TV I think I've ever watched. It's crazy. And what I like about this episode is it really shows Ray at his fucking worst. He's a piece of shit in this episode, and like, it's a thing again of, you get it, but come on, man, calm down. He really makes every wrong decision in this episode, apart from enlisting his mates for help. If it was just him, there's no way he would have found that girl. There's a part where Ray like bursts into like a birthday party for an old lady and just threatens the grandma with a fucking shotgun. Like, come on, man, you fucking mental case. But then on the other side of the scale, there's an episode where his new girlfriend dies, and you just see him stop somewhere in the middle of the desert. He rolls up a quick smoke, and he just stands there and just cries. He just really has a good cry, and it feels like a real turning point for his character, because he doesn't even kill the guy responsible. Hell, even after being set up by one of his closest mates, he doesn't kill him, he just walks away. It's kind of the embodiment of, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. There's also a really great episode where Ray confronts his estranged father, and his dad tells him about his past and how he came home from the Vietnam War and was treated like a dog for serving his country. And he says to Ray, I wish you could have known me before I went to war. And it's really a sad moment. It's a really great moment of not really forgiveness, but at least understanding from Ray. And even brings his daughter in to see him later on. One thing I will say about the show, it's definitely not perfect. Like, for instance, I didn't really like the ending all that much. Like the ending, like the last like maybe 5-10 minutes of the episode, because it feels like it's going to lead into another season, but the show's finished by choice. They decided it was only going to be 3 seasons long, which I'm fine with that. You've got a plan in mind, you do the plan, great. But I'm glad it finished with Ray at least. You can genuinely see that Ray has changed since the pilot. He's definitely a better person now than he was back then. So just to wrap up, watch Mr. In Between. It's a really great show, incredibly high highs, and a mid to decent ending. 8.5 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you thought. If you've seen the show, I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Thanks for watching. See ya.